Hi Jay, I'm going to do my best to give you a few insights. I've seen some interesting things. You're doing a lot of things well, especially with the upper body. Um, I will have a few issues running the face-on view, so the video might take a bit more time than it should. Anyway, we're gonna start with the down the line view. So I like your posture. I would tend to prefer something a little bit less back. I feel that you were going way back and the armpits are still over the tip of your toes, so that tells me that you have a lot of hip flexion. So that's not a really bad thing per se because you're conserving your angles quite nicely, I would say, but that's giving some tendencies for your lower body and the use of right hip and left hip on the downswing because you want to save that much depth, which is good. But I think with a posture that's slightly more neutral, so having maybe armpits over here, a little bit more knee flex, kind of like granddad's posture, like hunched slightly with slightly more knee bend and such. I think you would have an easier time conserving your angles. You could use the proper patterns on the downswing with the lower body. But I mean, if you feel comfy like that, I mean, don't change the whole house. I mean, you're doing a lot of things right. So on the backswing, I like what you're doing. Having a big backswing. I can see that you're trying to tilt the shoulders, so left lateral bend, which would bend the spine like so. So I understand that. That's a good thing. You also do a good thing not letting the left hip sag down too much, so that's also good. Here you're fine. The club's crossing the line. I don't really don't care. What we'll see on the face-on is that maybe you're taking it a bit too far, a bit too much thoracic spine extension, so that could stretch your abs here. We'll see it better on the face-on. I see some right lateral bend in the downswing, so that tells me that it's not that severe, or that you are muscular enough, or that's your pattern and you own it. So that doesn't bother me too much. I would maybe decrease a little bit of the thoracic spine extension, but anyway. Club face is very shut. That's not bothering me too much. I prefer this way rather than the other way around. So yeah, left hip is okay. It's not too far down. I like it. So here we can see that you're doing a good job to have the elbow in front. Elbow is already in front of the right hip, so that's good. I mean, for the upper body, really, it's moving well. I mean, club face is maybe a bit shut. I don't know what's your pattern. If you hit big push draws, or if you really hold the release off and manage to hit straight balls, I really don't know. So that's not bothering me. It is a bit steep, but I mean, it's a reflection. It's a reflection of a very good elbow move and having the face that shut. So you have to have pronation. You have to have extension and flexion. So that's steepening the shaft. So I mean, it's not a big deal, but maybe you have a bit of a hard time with your pattern hitting the long irons. So maybe a little change with your grip could help, having the face a bit less shut. But again, if it's functional, if the ball patterns, the trajectories are okay, I mean, don't change it. Okay, so here what's going to be bothering slightly, here we can see that you have a lot of lordosis, so that's also good. Combined with lateral bend, it's making your pelvis turn, so that's a good thing. Now, I think that's here where the pattern is flawed. In my opinion, you use too much right hip abduction, so kind of having the right hip going, I mean no, with the camera, like in this position, and that's making your pelvis tilt, and that's preventing you from having more right lateral bend. So here you can see that your back is kind of straight. We can, I mean the shoulders are very tilted, so they are more tilted than the pelvis, so you definitely have some right lateral bend there. But I think this angling is too much. I mean, this is going to hurt you in the long run. So you have around 21. So try to be less than 15. That would be ideal. You will have the opportunity to have more right lateral bend. This will make your pelvis turn more in a cohesive manner, and that will add up stability to everything. So I'm gonna now, I mean, I think we can go on the face on. There's not much to it. I mean, you're definitely not coming over the top. You have decent elbow move. The shaft is a bit steep, but I mean, this is not a sandwich either, so maybe it can hurt you with the long irons, I don't know. Okay, so you're doing a good job here, maintaining your angles. So you're actually getting behind the address position, which was around here, so that's a good thing. But in my opinion, you're doing it the wrong way. So we'll see a few things on the face-on view that are going to give us insights. So here we can see that your ankle is super inverted. So rolling on the ankle, rolling on the heel. That's not bad per se. I mean, unless you are a physician and you are worried about your ligaments, but I mean, that's gotta hurt after a few a few holes anyway, or after a few buckets. So there's a way around this. I can see that you're kind of losing balance at the end and such, but that's all because of this pattern. So I think it's definitely possible to change that and give you more rotation and more balance. Anyway, so we can see that there is no real second fire. Here you can see that your right foot is very flat-footed and it's never really rotating until the end of the fall through. So here, so that says that the second fire of the lower body is not really efficient. So in my opinion, you're very abducted in the right hip. So in my opinion, you're using this pattern. I don't know, yeah, you can see it. So this would be abduction, this would be adduction. In my opinion, because you want so much, I mean, you lack a little bit of rotation in the lower body, so I mean, it doesn't really show here on the camera because you're really forcing that pattern with this abduction. You're kind of jamming this left hip away and back. So if you have just a little bit of rotation and have a ton of abduction, you're kind of pushing everything there. So that gives you a bit of a slide, and we'll see it on face on. And the other thing is the use of left hip rotation. So in my opinion, you're staying into ER, external rotation, and you're not staying in IR enough. We'll get to the face on and you'll understand, but that gives you basically this kind of look and endless pushing away, and that's what's making your right ankle be so funky, so to speak. So we're gonna go into the face on. I'm gonna have a bit of trouble doing this. The player is not really, I mean, it's not working properly. I don't know if it's face on or the MP4 or something, or because I download from YouTube, but I have, it's a problem, it's a frequent problem I have. So I will run this. I think I can draw something, but yeah, as soon as I pause it, the image is missing, so that's really annoying. Okay, maybe I can do this like so. Okay, so I will try and draw something there. Okay, this is good. Okay, so we're gonna see that Yeah, now you cannot see. Yeah, it's really annoying. So I will drag it like so, so you can have the image. Okay, so on posture, from face on, no problem. Really, no problem. Like it. I think you have a strong grip, strong enough, and given your club face, I wouldn't definitely not strengthen it. I would maybe weaken slightly the sorry. I would weaken slightly the right hand, just ever so slightly, to not get, because you're using so much of elbow move and pronation and extension, that's steepening. So if you had a little bit of a weaker right hand, that would maybe get your face a little less shut and the shaft a little more shallow. So, but I mean, it's really being picky there. So I like this. You're in internal rotation here, so it's rotated that way, so I like it. Yeah, this is very flexy, kind of strong grip, so you're really on one side of the equation, and because you're steep and kind of shut, that means you're using the right movement, so maybe you can get away with weakening slightly the right hand. Anyway, there you go. This is where it gets a bit problematic. It's gonna be a bit of a problem. Yeah, okay. So good move off the ball. I didn't say that, but in the down the line we can see that your upper torso is moving upwards. So up move, I like this. This is no problem. Don't change that. You rotate quite a lot with your upper body, so that's really good. If the image could load, that would be nice. Okay, so this is where I could see a little bit of a problem. Try and go back. Yeah, this curve is slightly too much in my opinion, and it keeps going, so I'm gonna see. I would stop there. I mean, maybe you would need to hinge the to let the right arm, the right elbow flex a bit, to have a little bit shorter, a little bit earlier wrist set, so you don't have the time to go into this kind of massive thoracic spine extension. It's not hurting that much, but it definitely plays a role in the way your pelvis behaves. So here, okay, you can see this is getting really a lot. What can happen is that it can trigger, because you're creating so much curve, some curve can really occur in the lumbar spine, which would mean too much lordosis and too much hip flexion that goes with it. And that's really not perfect to get the correct transition sequence. So I would try to, don't try and be straight or be like that, but maybe you would have to feel like that to decrease this amount. But again, you seem to be a good athlete and get away with it. So okay, yeah, it's really annoying. The frames are not charging properly. Okay. So here is where I see the troubles. See where you started address. See here, you're here at the top of the backswing. There is a little bit of movement from here to here. I don't bother. It really doesn't bother me. Sorry. So yeah, this is okay. Your transition, the early start of the transition is correct. But here is where it's gonna go a bit off. Okay, here you can see that you kind of crossed a ton. This much is crossing the address position, and it's getting in front of your ankle. Almost, yeah, it's getting in front of your ankle, and it's not gonna stop. It's gonna keep moving. So and here I'm generous, so I could have drawn it. Okay, so right hip is here, so it's really on the line. So with an iron, with a short iron, it's not a problem, but it might hurt you with the long irons. I would see you staying a bit more back, and given the ton of lag that you have, it's not gonna hurt your contact. With this kind of lag, and you're not flipping in the last seconds, so I really don't see how staying a little bit more back will hurt you and will hurt your low point and such. So why are you sliding that way? In my opinion, is because the left hip is not behaving properly, and the right hip, because you want so much depth and so much rotation, the right hip is going full AB, like abduction. So I'm gonna move the camera just slightly. Okay, so in my opinion, this hip is moving along with the pelvis, so the knee is being dragged open, like, well, from face on it's open, this would be closed, okay? So I'm not using anatomical terms here, but you get the idea. What should happen is that your pelvis should rotate counterclockwise and your knee should stay kind of in a clockwise manner, or refuse to go with the pelvis. The pelvis, because it has lordosis, because you have right lateral bend, the pelvis is going to rotate and it's going to have a tremendous momentum and it's dragging everything. But the left knee should say no to that. So you would have a pelvis that's rotated a ton counterclockwise and the knee that's resisting. So maybe you cannot see that because it did rotate there, but in my feeling, I have the feeling that my knee is staying that way. But because the pelvis has so much force and it's driven by lumbar lordosis and right lateral bend and this, and also because I don't slide, I can rotate that way, have the knee thinking no, I'm not going, and still have a knee that's pointing there. But here my pelvis is here and my knee is there, so it's definitely internally rotated, and that puts a ton of stretch in the fascia, and the only thing that it wants from here is to snap into ER, and that's what's going to give you first. You won't have to abduct and to push yourself away from the ball, but also towards the target, because that's what happens when you use so much AB. And your right foot won't have the same action, like staying flat-footed for so long and then losing balance like that. So that's really what's preventing you from being more rotational and being ideal, because you have a ton of things that's working great here. You're staying in internal rotation. I mean, you're not flipping. You definitely have the elbow forward, a ton of lag. I mean, for the upper body, really, you're working great, but you have to master this. So I would have an idea of sliding less, because you're not using so much right hip AB to push yourself there. I would stay behind the left ankle. I would also try to have the left knee going clockwise, kind of, and resisting the pelvis, dragging it. So as you can see, it's still moving, but it's not moving like that. It's definitely not something that's coming from the hip. The hip wants to go there, but the pelvis is turning so much that the knee is turning. But from here, I'm in a good position to, to have the second fire and to have this retraction of, this left foot coming back. I'm gonna try and move the camera so you can see my feet. I don't know. No, you won't see them. Oh, maybe here. Sorry about the socks. Anyway, you get the idea. If I go there is nothing here. I'm gonna roll and roll and roll, and you keep pushing there, and that's what's happening in you. So I would resist here, and from here there is so much tension because I am IR in the left hip, and I am rotated, and from there is a ton of tension here in this fascia, and all it wants to do is snap back and extend and push, and because I'm behind the left ankle, if I push, it gives me rotation. So it's really a win-win situation. So it's a bit complicated, but I think you get the idea. I hope I'm showing it the right way and that you can see a few things on there. But anyway, you're really doing a good job, really good job for the upper body. And I mean, it's maybe you played a lot of sport or something before, and that's natural or anything. I wouldn't really change too much with the upper body. Maybe decrease slightly the amount of thoracic spine extension at the backswing. But again, it's not really hurting you that much for your transition move. It's not completely off, over the top, abs crunching. I mean, you're not doing that beanpole kind of extending, and you don't have that. So stay there. Really work on the lower body first. So get rid of this. Get rid of this. Sorry. Get rid of this right hip abduction, and also try and resist more with the left knee. Try and have the left knee point there, resisting the pelvis going there, and it's still going to be dragged open, but you will create a difference in this fascia, you know, this lateral line, and this will give your body the urge to snap during impact, extend, because you won't be so far forward. If you extend and do something, it will propel you that way, so it's kind of a revolving door action. So if it's moving on an axis, this wants to go there and this wants to go there. So it's really win-win situation by changing this pattern, and it will give you more stability, and this will stabilize your release, which already looks kind of stable. But again, I don't know how what scores you're shooting, what trajectories you're having and such, but here you can see that it's moving forward, and it's kind of, there is no really second fire. I mean, it's kind of dragged and pushed by this right side, which wants to go there away from the ball, but because you're not so much rotated, it's also making you slide towards the target. So it's kind of making you push there away from the ball and kind of there towards the target. So that's a good thing to try and get your angles right and be rotational, but you're not using the proper pattern. Okay, so I think that's wrapping it up for this video. I hope you have enough things, and I mean, if you have any questions, just fire away. Cheers. Or good day, is that how you say that?